Cools down. The southeast cools down just like the northeast has been through the weekend, and we're going to stay that way today. So let's start in New York City. Got Columbus Circle behind me. A little foggy. Visibility running a couple of miles right now, 3 miles, I think. Temperatures in the 40s. It's sort of misty out here. We've got an east wind. You know, I do not like that east wind. And you're not liking it either if you don't like a rainy day, because that's what we have going on here today. Rain delays are possible. The Mets are playing the Atlanta Braves tonight at Citi Field, so we will see. Watching some rain steady or heavy enough to cause delays. For the most part, though, it's going to be light rain. It's going to be misty, and that's what we have right now across Long Island, southern Connecticut. Your commute this morning is damp, but it's not a soaker. Now, a soaker of a ride this morning is on 90 in between Cleveland and Buffalo. That's where we have the steadier rain and some thunderstorms now crossing over into central Pennsylvania. So we're watching that for you at the moment. We've got some jet stream energy here today. We've got our front crossing on in, and as the front pushes east, we're going to see parts of Virginia into Maryland, perhaps, maybe even into southern Pennsylvania. The chance for some thunderstorms that turn severe through today, and we'll watch that into the early evening. Then midweek, we got another disturbance coming on in, and this Clipper kind of system will bring some lighter rain chances coming in by the end of the week. But the general pattern is dip in our jet stream, cooler than average temperatures, and we'll stay a little bit unsettled as we track the upcoming forecast this week. So for today, we've got that rain out there. Again, the chance for severe weather is possible. Virginia, up into the D.C. area, maybe even parts of Delaware as well. All right, Kelly, let's go over and see what's happening in the Midwest.
All the glare in here. Even I have to go like this. What am I looking at? Yeah, it's going to be a nasty week because eventually that little thing up there near Hudson's Bay is going to come all the way down and around and park an onshore flow into Boston. This is essentially
a deep trough that digs. It's another stuck pattern this week, so we end up getting stuck in this for pretty much the entire week. You get stuck in the plains with the warmth, but here in the east, we're stuck in the cool.
Yeah, so hang in there. I know it's still cool this morning. Denver's about 29 degrees, but I mean, it's gonna warm up, guys. Hang in there.
That's an interesting forecast in itself, Denver.
I know. Yeah, which way is the wind going to blow there, and what kind of temperature ride are we going to go on? 60 in New York, 53 in Boston today. We're still going to be a little bit cooler. My brother's, just got a new car. He's like, I want to take the top down. I'm like, sorry,
not this
sorry,
week.
Vincenzo. It's going to be a rough week for that. But 63 at Burlington, 52 at Boston, 62 in New York.
I think D.C. is going to be one of the spots that see the biggest changes, because they'll be in the low 80s and humid and thunderstorms today. And then by the rest of the week, you're struggling to hit 60 for high temperature.
I'm waiting for that onshore flow to kick in, because along the coast, eventually it's going to get a little nasty here.
Well, even today, they're starting off east wind in Boston right now. New York is an east wind. Philly has an east wind.
That is true.
Nothing good.
That is true. Nothing good comes from an east wind, right, Jen? All right, let's check out Boston for you. Pretty uniform week, but I mean, 50s is kind of like, okay, I need to get about 10 degrees warmer.
50s and sunshine might be handled. You can handle it, right? But 50s and cloudy and drizzle, unfortunately, that's the week we got ahead. Meanwhile, we have rain, of course, that we've been tracking, and too much of it in a lot of spots, Kelly.
Guys, a very tragic story.
It's going to be one of those days where it's just foggy all day.
Yeah, the east wind.
You know what I mean?
It's going to be misty. Yeah, drizzly, rainy. But not severe up into New England.
True.
So you got that.
Just recapping April for a lot of guys, we had 1, 2, 3 days where we were, if you will, at or above average, so it wasn't really a super severe month.
The 26th,
that was the big hail day.
The big one for April, but it still wasn't the biggest day of the year. It's still that February day ranks higher.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
February 20, and I'll never forget it, because Maine, Caribou's office, for the first time ever, put a severe thunderstorm warning out for the month of February.
I mean, we had, that was amazing. I mean, that was a busy day.
On a positive note, though, we are down in tornadoes, which is always good, because those are the worst, certainly in terms of the threat. 30-year average, as you can see, we are still down.
Well, after that big event in February, we actually went into April
we were up.
near or above average, and now we're below average.
And everybody was thinking we're going to get crushed. All right, so what happens with our severe risk? We typically go back to the what everybody knows is Tornado Alley, which, by the way, is really this whole area right in through here. This week, don't expect much in terms of tornadoes. There may be what we call cold core stuff as the trough of low pressure comes to the east, but this really shuts off our moisture source, Jen, as you know. As we kind of get blocky. Dew
points are already dropping. I mean, dew points in Texas now. I've seen some 50s getting into Dallas with the dew points. So
the 30s in the Panhandle this morning. So pretty incredible. So 1-2 punch. That's a dry flow. That is not a flow conducive for severe. We'll have to wait for this thing to come east, which it will as we get into the weekend here. But oof. You know what that means.
Rain.
Yeah, rain. And the good news is this does pivot a little bit. It doesn't just sit there a little bit to the west, and we'd be talking about a massive flood.
I mean, this is somewhat of a blocking pattern.
It is. It's an omega. We kind of go into an omega and then open it up a little bit. So it's a real brief
But kind of fraught with error, I feel like sometimes. These blocking patterns can be slower than the models are predicting.
Yeah, sometimes it's, you know, once you get into them, it is pretty hard to get out of them because they're kind of locked up. But what we see is eventually a moisture return coming back. Unsettled, unfortunately, for Colorado, but they've had a wet spring so far.
How about a snowy spring?
Wet, no matter which
I think it snowed
type.
yesterday. We're done with that for now.
Yeah, so dry line action as we work our way into Saturday, and then eventually a little bit more moisture, certainly, as we get in towards Sunday, more widespread precipitation for the heartland after really what is going to be a dry week and warming week, right?
Exactly. So by the weekend, and this is Mother's Day, by the way, now we have to start bringing, this is more typical spring weather, you know, by the time we get into Sunday. Southeast will be really warming up by then, too. So
yeah, probably some severe weather with that as well, guys.
All right, Kelly. Let's talk about the West and all this heat. And the temperatures are storms earlier this morning, Western Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh, we're going to start with you and say good morning. The Penguins are actually in action tonight as they continue their quest for a Stanley Cup, taking on the Washington Capitals. Weather-wise, though, you're waking up to fog. We've got temperatures in the mid-50s. Dew points are close to it. And so we're pretty foggy across Western Pennsylvania. Dense fog advisories up into parts of West Virginia as well. Here's where the rain is. Pittsburgh, it's moved on through now over towards Williamsport. North of 80 is where the thunderstorms are, up towards Elmira in New York. Buffalo to Erie, just a soaker of a ride right now, right along 90. And so this is on the move. We'll watch this batch of rain continue to press to the north and east. So getting into New York State, getting through Pennsylvania, a couple of thunderstorms right now into West Virginia, moving east. But it's what redevelops later today, which will be an issue with possible severe weather. D.C., Baltimore, both in it, maybe York, Pennsylvania, about as far as north as you, Wilmington, Delaware, and then back down through much of the state of Virginia. We're going to watch for the risk of thunderstorms. The rest of the area, it's general rain, it's scattered. It's going to be sort of a misty, drizzly kind of day for a lot of you, and then you'll get these bursts of some steadier, just plain old rain that'll make you pop the umbrella. For the most part, it might just be a hood up kind of day for you here into the north and east. So we are going to be watching for some of those thunderstorms today, this afternoon, mainly into tonight. Things continue to press on east, and then you'll see some drier air working in for a period on Tuesday before the next system comes in on Wednesday, and that brings us more rain to head east. For other weather stories that are happening on this Monday morning, there it is, of course, the month of May. So we watch for that pattern set up for thunderstorms here, and it's not setting up this week. By the end of the week, things change, but until we get there, let me show you what actually is going to transition. We're going to end up with showers and storms. We see that today across the east, some pockets of severe weather. No big risk when it comes to tornadoes today. Tomorrow, it's mainly just rain, a couple of thunderstorms out there. And then what happens is we end up with a blocking pattern, and we end up with a ridge over the middle of the country. That keeps us dry. That keeps us warm. In the east, a bit of a trough. That will keep us unsettled, but not stormy. It'll keep us cool. And so we'll be looking for temperatures in the 50s, low 60s, and rain showers, as opposed to the warmth and the high dew points that you might expect when it comes to storms. The middle of the nation, where, you know, the heartland, the plains, Tornado Alley, all the spots you think about when it comes to tornadoes, that's going to be quiet almost every single day this week until we get to the end of the week. Friday's still a quiet day, but then Saturday and then Sunday we'll start to see things start to transition. Upper level low moves from the southwest. By Saturday, we finally have a chance to see some thunderstorms maybe developing on a dry line across West Texas. This is more of a classic May-like pattern by the time we get to the end of the weekend. This happens to be Mother's Day, so tough timing as you make your weekend plans and your picnics and your brunch plans and everything else. We've got thunderstorms now back into the forecast right across the heartland.